Hey, what's up, friends? David Glenn for the MixAcademy.com. I hope you're doing amazing. I want to give you a little bit of an intro to the video you're about to watch. This tutorial has come straight out of my membership site called, go figure, themixacademy.com. And basically, every month we mix a new song. I issue the multi-tracks. You mix it, I mix it. You can follow along start to finish as I mix it. Copy what I do, be inspired by what I do, tweak the taste, do your thing, or mix it and then watch later and try to kick my butt. Nonetheless, we have a great time and tons of fun going on in there. Artist interviews, exclusive tutorials, Facebook Lives, you name it. We're going to be doing it in the Mix Academy. There's a $1 trial. You can go check it out at themixacademy.com. Nonetheless, the video, each month you'll see these series pop up. Sometimes it'll be 1 or 2 videos at 10 or 15 minutes each. In this case, the next several are going to be as long as an hour to 2 hours, some of them. So I want to hook you guys up. Tons of stuff to see for free here on the channel. But if you want to step it up and go even further and see the full process, check it out at themixacademy.com. I hope you enjoyed the video. All right, welcome back, guys. We're going to take this to the finish line, if not in this video, in one more video. Maybe we do our thing, we just kind of work through it in this one, and then I'll bounce it, take some notes, and then come back and we'll finish it in the last video. But yeah, so I feel pretty good about it. I'm sure I did a couple things off camera, so I'll keep an ear out, and if I remember anything that I did, I'll definitely show it. If you guys have any questions, maybe you're watching and you see, maybe you catch me that I've done something and you don't know what I did there, tag me in the Facebook group, and I would love to answer any questions. If you guys have any questions specifically, we could even do a Facebook Live. Let me know what you guys think. Go tag me in the group, and we'll go from there. But for now, I'm thinking I'm just going to hit play. There's keys and little miscellaneous tracks and stuff that I haven't touched yet. I know I want to get some compression on the piano here. So we're just going to hit play and have some fun rocking this mix. So that, I just want to squash that. I love a squash piano sound. Maybe first with Decapitator. Just kind of pull some saturation out of this, back the output off. You know what? I'm going to save myself some time here. I was recently watching CLA do his thing, and I thought in the car a tutorial video that might be cool is how CLA could improve his mixing. We get a lot of hate, I'm sure, kind of a clickbait title, but every time he loaded an instance of Slate's VMR, he was dragging and dropping the same stuff in, VCC with an SSL EQ, and I'm like, dang it, man, just create a template, let it load, the first time, and I haven't done that with Decapitator, so I'm going to take my own advice, and I almost always hit that punish button or drive it, and so to compensate for that, I'm going to pull the output back at least a little bit, and I'm going to save this as a preset. So we're going to save this as the DGR default, bam, in the Decapitator folder, and then set that as the user default. And now that that's done, if I close Decapitator and then I pull it open and launch it, actually the other thing I'm going to do is add it as a favorite. I'm going to hold Command in Pro Tools and go to that plugin, Decapitator here. Click, nothing happens except it loads it to the top of the folder, which is up here. So now I don't have to go looking for it and don't need to worry about my lack of alphabetical skills here. So now it loaded. It's no longer in auto mode. I'm not sure if the glitch is still there for the video, if that just screwed up, but it's no longer in auto mode. The output is backed off so that when I click that, almost by instinct, we're good to go. And then I can blend it and drive it and do whatever I want to do. So let's check out this piano here. And this feels like something that needs to be off in the distance. So first I'm going to compress the junk out of it. So we kind of lifted it with that. Maybe unnecessary, but we're going to leave it. I'm going to go to my favorite compressor, man. I've been crushing this, and there's my template because I like this compressor. I don't tend to go to the Slate. I go to the Pro Q by default. CLA does this thing with the SSL, but I'm going to just smash this. I'm going to go 10-to-1. And we're going to go fast attack, fast release, maybe not all the way fast, and see what we get from this. I'm actually going to back off the And I think I might even saturate it more with lo-fi and then send it to a verb and just back this way out. I think you guys are going to dig this. Check out where I'm going with this here. Okay, so that's nothing to write home about, but the gyno halt is, and we're going to send it into, I think I activated it for this session. We're going to go pre-fader. Kind of pull that up front and center so you guys can see it. And let's just throw this out there and drop the fader completely down. So now we're only hearing the reverb, the send. I'm not listening for the direct signal. Go figure, it's not in the mix, is it? All right, well, hopefully we have enough UAD processing, being that my box is still down and I'm lazy and haven't sent it off. Nope, unable to load. So let's go. Nope, okay. So instead what we'll do is we'll create one. We'll go with the slate and throw the verb suite. I think there's a modulation button on this. Haven't spent too much time yet, chorus, so we'll do that. And actually, let's first pick a preset. I'm thinking string, some kind of like string swells might be cool. What's the decay on that? Let's throw some modulation on there. More modulation. All right, now let's check it out in the mix. And if I can find my place, there we go. Okay, and let's hear this guy. Not quite what I'm used to with the gyno hall, but it's not bad. All right, so that's taken away from the artist creation quite a bit. I'm going to duplicate it, but I'm not going to include the inserts. And then what I'm going to do is throw a decapitator back on, throw that compressor back on, but no verb, and blend these two. Let's see, phase. We'll throw this one off to the right. I don't know that I'm digging that. I wish I had a rough mix to go by. We'll call this piano lick. Just kind of pull that fader. Nah, we'll leave it for now. It's small potatoes, I think, compared to maybe this guy. What is this, chords or? All right, so we'll get a little meat on this. We'll go grab it. Tell you what, let's throw Slate's VMR in. We've been using that a ton. We'll go Slate Digital Virtual Mix Rack. Now it's in our favorites, so when we come over here, we don't have to go hunting for it. And we'll do the same thing. We're gonna compress it pretty aggressively. Yeah.
The conversations will carry on as decorations and courtesy. I hid it away at the end
You know, I noticed that about a lot of the tracks is they start and then they just kind of like die out. They stop. I'm not sure where or why that happened. So like there, it's gone. But the whole cycle of the verse, it's not done yet. So I'm not sure. It also happened with the acoustics. And while that's not important. And if we put too much low in those piano chords, I put quite a bit in the rhythm guitars. It might stack up and get a little ugly. So we're going to walk away from that for a minute. The acoustics, check this out. So it's strumming along in the chorus and then it just stops. Okay, so that one was correct. It's out here, I think. I'd love to have heard them continue on. It kind of keeps the rhythm driving, but we'll leave that alone. And they're never tight after that first part here. Let's take a quick listen to that. I mean, it's not as tight as it could be, but it's definitely tighter than a lot of these. That just ends abruptly. I'm gonna break and put a fade to keep that last little bit from. Felt like I heard a little bump, like a little glitch on that. Let's come out here and replace this part. And I think if we paste it there, and then let's group them, AC, I don't care what it's called. Let's back this up. Okay, here's before. They're both doing about the same thing. I think instead of replacing that, I want to take that out. The triplet kind of thing going on. I don't know if that's enough. Let's solo. Oh, it might be. It sounds like crazy Mexican guitar. Where in the world is that coming from? I wonder if it's in the lead or the rhythms here. No way. We gotta find, maybe it's percussion? Maybe shaker, tambourine? I mean, maybe here. Let's check it. Nope. Not gonna be bass. I doubt that. Tambourine, maybe? I swear I hear it on the left side. Is it hi-hat? That would be kind of weird, but listen to that. There it is. I'm gonna change that. I don't. For me, it's a distraction. We don't want a distraction right there. I get it, but it doesn't. I don't know. It feels like a glitch as opposed to a cool thing. Just my taste. So I'm gonna pull that like a crescendo, so it's not even. I'm just gonna get rid of it. Basically, getting rid of it. Okay. And we're off. So what were we working on? Acoustics, electrics. The beauty of distractions. this stopping there. Let's go to slip mode so we have more control. I'm gonna see the grid in between here. I'm gonna pull kind of like right in here. It's gonna break that. It doesn't feel good to me. Even that last note there. Bye-bye. Now, in previous sections, I know it's kind of a lot of time to spend on this little thing, but just help the band be a little tighter at this section here. We're gonna copy from the transient, boom, even just that one hit, just to help it out a bit. Let's come out here where we had it off, paste, right on the one. Let's go to grid mode and we'll just smack it right there, I think is where. There we go, man. A little tighter, what do you guys think? This is something I worked on. I took the acoustics, the strummed acoustics, and I threw Butch Vig on it for the parallel compression here. You can see. All I did was the compress knob, and I think I backed off the output a dB. So that was one thing. And then out of that, I just didn't feel like the LA3. If I push the LA3 too much, it gets kind of, I don't know, glitchy from UA. A little decapitator, just trying to gradually reduce the dynamic range of these so they kind of sit on top as opposed to with acoustic guitars, if you're strumming a lot, you get a lot of dynamics depending upon the player. Some guys know to just kind of keep it consistent because that's what you want to kind of layer the track. But for this particular part, I felt like it just needed to kind of stack saturation and compression to keep it in check. This would be a cool one actually for an example in solo. Without any processing, it's probably going to be quieter, but very dynamic. Lots of accents. One and one. So it's just too dynamic for the part. I want it to sit on top and kind of carry, similar to like a shaker or a tambourine when we do parallel compression on those. I want this to stay consistent. So to do that, we started with an LA3. You can see it kind of bouncing there. Listen what happens whenever I push this too hard. Actually, that's not reacting too bad. I didn't mind that. Sometimes, and it might just be a low-end build-up kind of thing, maybe EQing before it'll help, but sometimes, I don't know, it's almost a mid-range thing that I get, kind of gargly sound from this one, but that didn't sound too bad. So let's check from there. We went to decapitator. You just hear it pulling everything up, reducing but there's still a little bit. It's bouncing, right? It's still kind of doom, doom, da, doom, 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 da, doom. It's kind of bouncing too much for me. And in the track, you can hear it kind of doing that. Some of you guys may like that, and that's totally cool. But for me, I just kind of wanted to keep it consistent. So then we add the Butch Vig, and it just kind of levels it out a bit. And then solo, you can really hear it. Without it, it's bouncing too much for me. So I hope you dig that. And then I felt like the top end, I'm really sensitive to letting acoustics get too harsh up there. And so I went through and found a couple frequencies that were bothering me. Here's without it. Kind of enhances the range around 10K or so, and helps that be the featured frequency as opposed to all of the mid-range and top end. And I still don't think my acoustics and my electrics are as tight as they could be. Those of you guys who are familiar with the band Lifehouse, excuse me, one of my favorite bands, I can't even say the name right. They do it well. Whoever mixes for them of recent years, they do a really great job of getting the electrics and the acoustics to kind of mold and sync. It's a really beautiful thing. I would love to get that here, but I think we're going to move on and not spend too much time on it. In all honesty, I think it's more about the parts. It sounds like two different guitar players. I may be wrong, but it sounds like two different guitar players, slightly out of sync, so editing may help that. If you guys wanted to kind of tighten those up, I would be willing to bet that these acoustics, they almost feel a little bit, like a little bit rushed. So maybe breaking that and bouncing it, and just kind of, not bouncing, but sliding it over could help. Anyways, we got to move on. We got to get this thing done. So acoustics feel better at the end there. I'm going to show you the snare and what I did to that. All right, so I don't absolutely love my snare. I would love to have used maybe some of the live snare, but the bleed for me anyways. I pulled this snare in. You guys saw me do that. We picked this sample. I ended up detuning it a lot, and that's the minus 45 there. So check out this sample. Here's the original. It might only be on the left side, I think, is how that works. Quite a bit of bleed, not the end of the world, but very much a higher tune snare. So if you remember, we started out by replacing it with a higher tune snare, and that was this guy right here. I'll put that back to 0. The ghosting is not correct yet either. Okay. I don't mind that, but after I listened to a couple of references, pulled in a Nickelback track. I like a deeper snare, so I pulled this down to minus 45 in trigger. No, it doesn't sound great here by itself, but in the track, I felt like that sounded better. And then I warmed it up and took out some of the harshness. I pulled out the ring. It was ringing really good right in here. Take a listen to this. Let's go to where it's actually playing. You got to turn it on first for this to matter. Chunky, right? You can hear it ringing in there. So just pulled that out. Big difference. Okay, so that felt good to me at the verses. Let's go check out the verse. Listen to that snare in the verse. But I felt like it needed a little verb, so I put it through the snare verb here. VSC, CLA snare, right? We have a dark snare, so I'm complementing it with a bright snare verb. It's brightish, not too bright. Okay, and that helped it out a lot. And the room mics and the overhead mics really do a good thing for it too. A big part of that sound, I think, is this track. Little crazy, a little washy, but I put it through the sunset chamber, and I liked what that did, especially at the verses, which is where you can really hear that. And then, so the reason why I'm going on this tangent about the snares, because I wanted to show you, I was referencing a CLA mix, and not the thing he did with Slate, not that course, but a mix, just pulled in I think it was a Nickelback mix, and the snare sounded great at the chorus, and it sounded darker in the verse, and I really liked that. And so what I did is I copied that and duplicated the track and then picked a different snare sample. I went to a CLA snare from the Slate Trigger bundle there, just CLA snare, rock snare 1. I think I tightened it up with the curves, maybe. Nope, I didn't even touch that. But that snare sounds like this. crack, bite, thwack, whatever you want to call it, that's going to cut through the mix. Whereas if we switch between them, here's with just the original snare. And then the crack. And what I did is I muted that new snare in the verses, but brought it in at the chorus and then anytime when it's big. And so what that does for me is it helps it to just cut. It helps it to break through the mix, the guitars and all that stuff, really crank in. Take a listen out. Here's a good example. Tell you what, let's show you the drums by themselves, and then we'll pull the rest of the music in so you can hear the difference between the kick snare vibe until the chorus comes in, and then it hits. A little dull. That's a good section to show it off. I'll show it to you without the duplicate. Just a little too round. It's not cracking enough. And then with it. And then in the track without it. It's almost like someone turned the snares off on the snare. You kind of flip the switch and it's kind of a rounder, donkey kind of, I don't know, donkey. I'm making words up now. And then one more time without it. And then with it. Not the world's best snare combination or anything, but for just kind of throwing it together, sounds a lot better, I think, especially at the big section. So little love to the snare, just in case you're curious. That is what I did. I added crack at 1K. You might associate crack with a little higher up, but it just felt like it needed a little bit more there. So 1K, and then I pulled out some of the harshness. It was quite brash. Let's see. You hear that papery kind of stuff up there, and 5K, 3 to 5K is a little harsh, so I kind of just shifted that down a bit. And all right, so we're moving on. That those go to the snare verb. I probably should tighten up the extension, the sustain on that sunset chamber, but we're going to leave it for now. Where are we? The piano and stuff. We had the piano. I'm trying to think. I think I had a little more love to the bass, 150 and below. Yep. 150 hertz and below, a couple dB there. I soloed the kick and the bass, was just kind of massaging that. Wanted it to be a little more full. I like a lot of low end. What else do we have here? Didn't really even mess with the... No, we did. Okay, we got that. So moving on, we're going to look at the piano, little intro piano is not that big of a deal. What else do we have here? We have an outro piano. Look at that now. Okay. And then it kind of disappears. We'll throw that through a verb. Give a little tail to it. And pull it way down. It's a bit much. For this, I'm going to pull that back. I just crushed it to death. And not to get too fancy on you guys, but we're going to just do a quick delay. See what that DG delay does. Eighth on the left, dotted eighth on the right. Instrument delay, and let's see what we get. Probably could be more creative than that, but for now we're going to move on. Swirling flutters. What is this? Just pull that up a bit. Got a lot going on in the bottom end. If I'm going to increase the volume of those, I don't want that to get nasty and muddy, so I'm just going to pull out there. You could high pass and leave it. I don't know if we need to hear too much more mid-range stuff. I'm gonna get that out of the way of the middle. Gotta use it every mix. That sounds pretty good there. I'm going to help these be heard a little more. Just going to do some basic high-pass filtering. I'll tell you what, let's use that telephone preset. I'll just cut a little bit. That sounds like crap. Okay. Bye-bye decapitator. You hear the withering inside the wall. Only so much. That's fine. Just kind of a layer to help enhance maybe the guitars there. Cool little part. Strings, ensemble. We just widen that out. Could be wider, so we're going to go to that Gyno Hall we created. That sounded like distraction to me. Kind of came out of nowhere. I'm just gonna mute that. It doesn't add anything in my opinion, so I'm gonna pull that back.
torn. It's the light that never gets old.
And I felt like the sustain from the string ensemble there kind of took away from the impact of the fill, the guitars and the drums kind of chopping in there. Okay, I feel like it's pretty small potato stuff, but I want to give, the producer, the engineer, whoever, the guys creating this song, they took time to create these parts, and so I want to, respect them and give a chance and look at that stuff and see how it complements the song, and make decisions from there. But super subtle, the strings, this stuff, I don't feel like that. The big stuff is the drums, bass, guitars in this song. The intro probably will have some notes for myself about that and tell myself not to be lazy. But let's take a listen. Let's see if I can think, is there anything else? The tambourines, I remember having a note about the tambourines and the hi-hat being a bit bright when I referenced. I can take care of that pretty quickly.
Only so much you can cover up.
All right, I won't be lazy. We'll come over here. Let's duplicate it. Keep everything. And then in the duplicate, we're going to crush it with Devil Lock Deluxe, my favorite for tambourines and shakers. Just need an output knob here. That's more like it. Just want to keep it flat, nice and even. It's a better sound too, I think. So let's do this. Let's get that tambourine where we want it. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to lift the clip gain of the original tambourine, the untouched one. Let's see how that sounds. I dig that. I don't know if I dig it at both sections. When the drums come in, it might need a little lift, but we'll see.
Truth be told, it's the light that never gets Every word is weary. You hear the withering inside the wall. Only so much you can cover up before this building break and fall. I am a fraud to them with a heart made of stone. You
I don't care for that sound there, so changes quite a bit. It changed completely. I could break that into another track. I'm going to be a little lazy. I'm just going to kind of pull that down.
Seemingly true, a relentless and desperate love for you. Yeah, we bury, we
overload there, but I want more oomph in the kick, so I'm going to use a shelf and pull.
can live with the heat and shade.
Yeah, just a dB and a half. I want a lot, but I'm gonna keep it chill. Okay, so I don't know. I think we're kind of at that place where I'm cool with what I hear. There's nothing that's like, ugh, that sucks, or needs a huge difference. We did not mix the backgrounds, I don't think, did we? Not too much. No, we did. I remember that. Keeping them a little bit ducked just because of some of it was like straining to get those harmonies in. But I like just a gentle amount of it. Okay, I tell you what, guys. I'm going to bounce this and take some notes. We'll come back and see what we think. We'll see you in the final video.